My name is Mattatias Schwartz. I'm a freelance writer, and for the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting, I did a story in Honduras for the New Yorker called A Mission Gone Wrong. It was an investigation of a shooting in a remote village called Awas, and it also looked at the 30-year history of the U.S. war on drugs. So there was a shooting, and it happened early in the morning on May 11th, 2012. And after the shooting, someone emailed me a link to a news article, and then other reporters went there. The Times sent people there right afterwards to investigate it. And you could tell from the Times accounts of what officials were saying about it, the whole thing just kind of, it didn't smell right to me. So I decided I would go down there myself and find out what happened, because it seemed like a pretty egregious case. I took 2 trips to Honduras. I was able to meet with at least one person from the DEA in Honduras, and a few people from the State Department, and a few people from the U.S. military and the Honduran military. And then I spent months reading into the history of the drug war, interviewing U.S. officials. In the process of reporting this story, I'm not sure exactly how many people I talked to, but it was certainly more than 50. See, I think the hardest part of reporting the story was that I'd never really written history before, and so I had to write for the New Yorker like a 2,000-word account of the entire war on drugs, from Nixon to to the present. And throughout that time, drugs as a public issue became less and less visible, and presidents stumped on them less and less and less with each subsequent term. But the budget spent on the drug war continued to go up and up and up and up and up, all the way up to $25 billion a year right now, and actually over $40 billion if we count the amount of money that's spent on incarcerating drug offenders. Throughout the process of doing this story, the New Yorker and Pulitzer were very complimentary. All of the editorial direction came from the New Yorker, and then Pulitzer helped fund these initial trips. It's very hard to go to magazine and be, oh, send me to Honduras, I want to investigate a minor but controversial DEA shooting that the Times reported on 2 weeks ago. That's not exactly a killer pitch, but it was very important to me, and just being able to have enough support to take that first trip was invaluable. So one of the things that allowed me to do was hire a translator, and not just hire a translator, but fly this translator with me to the Mosquito Coast to do this story. And it's a lot of money, because you fly to Tegucigalpa, which is a few $100. Then there's another flight to the provincial capital, and then you have to take a boat ride out to Awas. Then it's you're paying for 2 people for all that transportation and transportation back, and for hotel and food, and it starts to add up very quickly. And it's hard to imagine. I would have been under a lot more pressure, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to spend as much time there if I hadn't had that kind of support. One thing that I learned reporting this story is that often it's a lot easier to get to the truth of some matter in another country than it is to do it in the U.S. or in Washington. That's probably not true of every country. It's probably not true of, say, Russia or China. But in a place like Honduras, where the state is very weak and people aren't used to having a free press around, and whatever press there is owned and doesn't have the same kind of objectivity, or whatever you want to call it, officials are very open, and they tell you what they think, and they tell you what happened. And they're not scared that you're going to write something that's going to destroy their career. That's not quite the right way to put it. It's not that they're not as frightened, it's that they're frightened of larger things. They have bigger things to worry about than the media, so they're happy just to chat. I think maybe my favorite moment on the whole trip was we hired someone, me and my translator hired someone to take us on this 6 or 7 hour boat ride in a dugout canoe from Awas to Barra Patuca, which is on the coast of the Caribbean. And most people take this trip in like collective boats, which might have 18 or 30 people, and that's the kind of boat that was involved in the incident that I was investigating. we had to go at a certain time, so we just hired someone to take us with like an outboard motor. And my translator, he's younger than me. I think he's in his earlier mid-20s, and he was really enjoying it. He was like, taking all these pictures, and I could tell that he was having fun. And so that was nice, that it was enough fun that it turned into something more than just work for him too.